Hey, Catherine, welcome. It's great to see you.
Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So, I want to just dive right in here.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the current job market. What are you really seeing in LinkedIn's data about hiring rates and competition compared to previous years right now? Because the sense that I'm getting is that there's a lot of competition currently.
Yes, your senses are right. It is pretty competitive out there. And our workforce confidence index, actually, we're hitting a new low. Where
Mm.
we're really seeing it is with Gen Z. They're feeling the least confident of workers. And what's tough is that obviously this is graduation season. So people who are graduating from college, maybe they had an older brother or sister who graduated in 21, 22, and they were like, I could get any job I want. And now it's actually the opposite, where it's super competitive. There's a lot more people graduating and then fewer
Hmm.
jobs.
Yeah.
So and then you have people who last year were looking for jobs who didn't find a job. So it's kind of coming at people in all different directions.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure you see that in your role a ton. I'm sure a ton of people ask you about this, especially with the state of things currently. But in your experience, also for this year, what industries do you think are hiring more so than usual, and kind of where are the big opportunities, if there are any?
Yeah, I love this question because it will take you by surprise. We're going
Mm,
back to construction, utilities,
yeah,
oil,
the
gas, and
trades.
mining.
Hmm.
Yes, those are the industries that are really hiring. Probably not a surprise are the jobs. Well, the number one job obviously is an AI engineer. I don't think that's going to
Hmm.
surprise anyone. But then also the other two ranking really high are law clerk and a data center technician. And so I think what you're going to find is that the industries where it requires, consumer spending, those are going to be harder hit, entertainment, travel, et cetera. Whereas industries, like education and health, those continue to stay a little bit stronger. The advice I would give a graduate is don't be precious about the industry or job.
Hmm.
You may not get that dream job that you were thinking you were going to get, but it's actually not about the job title that you should be looking for. It's about the experience that you're going to get. So
Mm,
I think
hmm.
shifting that mindset of it's not the company name, it's not the industry, it's not the job title, it's where do I go to get those skills so that I can have longevity in my career. This is a stepping stone. It is a marathon. This is not the rest of your life. So, really kind of looking at it that way, I think is going to give you A, more options, but B, also make you more excited about the job search.
Yeah, and say they do take that step to look at something that maybe they weren't thinking about before, or trying to take a step in a different direction. What are some strategies that you've seen that work for job seekers, whether it's in an industry that is hiring a lot, in an industry that is not hiring a lot? What's something that kind of has stood the test of time, if anything?
I think there is a tendency just to go apply everywhere. And the reason why
Yeah.
you don't want to do that is you have limited time and resources. So if you're just kind of applying anywhere that your experience may not be a great match, you're taking away time from doing where the jobs that you really could be getting. So applying
Mm.
selectively. And by being selective, what I mean is, do you have those skills? Do you have the experience that they're looking for? And the first thing someone's going to say is, well, I'm just coming out of college. I don't have any experience. You actually do. Maybe in your sorority, you managed the social media channels. Those are skills that you acquired. Maybe you were a lifeguard. Well, you're delegating things. You're leading people. Stop running on the,
Hmm.
the deck. So really thinking through creatively what
Hmm.
those jobs that you've had and how those can apply to skills. And
Hmm.
the exciting thing I think about AI is that we're all starting at the same spot. AI literacy is not something that, well, for the last 20 years I've been AI literate. That's not true. It's like really like this is we're all growing and learning together. And so you're going
Right.
to have a real advantage if you can go in and tell your story about how you've learned how to use AI, the skills that you've acquired, and then being super strategic about your job
Hmm.
search.
Hmm. Yeah, and a lot of that I think comes around to telling your story, right? And I think you've spoken on this a few times, where you want people to tell their stories professionally, and in order to land jobs, you have to kind of tell some sort of story. How would you approach doing that? And is that something that you broadcast only in interviews, or is that something that you broadcast other than that, outside of interviews?
The good news about storytelling is that there are several ways you can do it. And it doesn't just start and stop with the application. If they are asking for a cover letter, never, ever miss the opportunity to do a cover letter. And the reason why I say this is because it's another opportunity to tell your story. It's how you're showing up on LinkedIn. It's in your profile. It's how you're showing up on platform. Like storytelling is not just like you have one shot in the interview to tell your story and that's it. It's a combination of different factors that really show how you've applied your experience and delivered impact. So I think getting used to that, I would say it can be, if you're preparing for an interview, it can get kind of awkward when you're talking about yourself and, what you've learned. This is the time to reach out to your network and ask for someone to role play with you. It is really important, taking those extra steps to prepare for the interview so that when you are telling your story, it's really coming through as to what's going to make you kind of head and shoulders above another candidate. Because the thing that you want to remember is that if you are in the interviewing phase, they are interviewing you because they think you can do the job. But what they're really looking for is kind of what sets you apart from the other candidates. And the only way to do that is to be a great storyteller.
Right, right. And make it a bit, I guess, personal or professionally personal, if that makes any
Yes.
sense.
Yeah.
So for those professionals, right, who are looking for jobs right now, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people make in their job search? You mentioned applying, just mass applying to positions, but is there anything else on LinkedIn as well specifically that you see people do that hurt them more than help them?
The most practical advice I can give is if you have an idea of the type of roles that you're interested in and you see that there are companies hiring for those roles, just look at the job description. Take a look, see what are the skills that they're looking for, what's the experience that they're looking for, and just do a match in terms of these are the skills they're looking for. And then on LinkedIn, they can match what if you would be a good, match for the job. You could actually go into the job and it'll tell you like what skills do you need that you don't have. And what that does oftentimes is make the person realize, wait, I do have those skills. It's just that they're not on my profile. And so you just want to make sure you're using all the levers that are available to you to get the attention of that recruiter or hiring manager. So that I think is a mistake by not doing something. And then also just not being prepared in terms of showing your enthusiasm for the role. Like now is not the time to play coy. In a really competitive job market, they're going to want to hire someone who wants the job. And what I don't mean is you don't have to be jumping up and down and using exclamation points for everything. But part of showing excitement for the role is really understanding what the role is, what the company does. Did they just land a big new client? These are easy things to figure out. So coming in super prepared and showing enthusiasm for why, you want that job and like what you're looking to learn from it.
Look, I'm going to be straight with you. Everybody's talking about AI, but most people are just playing around with ChatGPT instead of actually making money from it. That's why we dropped the ultimate crash course to create your own AI side hustle in 7 days. We're talking real frameworks and strategies from the pros like the founder of The Hustle, Sam Parr. It includes mini guides, templates, the whole 9 yards, stuff that takes years to figure out, condensed into 1 week. Stop what you're doing right now and grab it in the show notes. Your future self will thank you.
You mentioned AI earlier. I definitely wanted to pick more on that a little bit because AI literacy, kind of, as you mentioned, is kind of one of the biggest skills you could have right now. You said there's a lot of people hiring AI product managers, AI just in general, AI engineers. It's named on Skills on the Rise in 2025, LinkedIn's report on that. Can you walk us through about balancing your AI knowledge while selling your more human side of your skills?
Great question. Yes. And, also when we talk about AI literacy, like what we're not saying is that you have to know how to go build AI. This is not just engineering. You could be in marketing and have great AI literacy skills, and that would make you super competitive. I think that what companies are looking for, though, is the combination of the skills. And this is why you have AI literacy, but you also have communications as one of those top skills that companies are looking for. Because, at the end of the day, yes, you may know how to use all the tools and be much more efficient in your work and bring greater impact. But if you can't bring people along, if you can't communicate how you're doing something, then it only goes so far. So it's really the combination of those skills that's what brings the magic.
That makes a lot of sense. You can't really advertise yourself as AI, but not talk about your story or what you've done to get there or anything like that. So it's all adding up. And last thing I wanted to talk to you about is just generally networking, because networking advice to me often feels quite generic. Just get out there and meet people, like go to events, do stuff. What does effective professional relationship building look like this year, especially for people who find traditional networking a bit awkward or inauthentic? What would you say to those people, and what would you recommend?
Yeah, I think there's a perception that when we talk about the importance of networking, people think, oh my gosh, I have to go on like 5 coffee dates a week and take someone out to dinner every other week, and oh my gosh, that's so much work. That's part of it, but absolutely not at that volume. In terms of networking, what is most effective is kind of rounding it out. And the way I liken it is that you wouldn't call a friend you haven't spoken to in 5 years and ask them for a ride to the dentist, right? Like you want to be feeding and caring for these relationships along the way, but it doesn't mean, again, that you're making them dinner every Sunday night. So there are easy ways just to stay in touch. Actually just did a recent post about when you're even just commenting on someone's post, be thoughtful in your comment. Don't just say, hey, great post, but actually why did that resonate with you? You really want to be having a conversation. And then what this does is that if a recruiter or hiring manager is going on to LinkedIn and they're looking at your profile, they can see how you've been engaging with conversations. So there's the really kind of low-hanging fruit, just in terms of keeping up with people. And someone gave me one of the best pieces of advice, which was, and this can be either work or personal in terms of networking. If, sometimes you feel like, oh, I need to call this person because I'm thinking about them, but I'll call them when I have something to share. Or how about just sending them a text saying, hey, just was in line thinking about you, hope you're well. Just those little points of connection make a big difference. If you are going to ask for help, my recommendation is to be super specific and make it time bound. It's much easier to respond to a request. If someone reaches out to me and says, can I have 15 minutes of your time? I have these 3 questions and this is why I'm reaching out to you. I'm much more likely to say yes to that as opposed to someone, hey, can we connect? It's been a while. I'm like, I don't have an
About
hour.
what?
Yeah.
Right.
I may not have your answers and
Sure.
give me more. So make it easy for the person to say yes.
So giving context, nurturing the relationships you do have, creating new ones, not just when you need things,
Yes.
but just to create them. So maybe that you can help them out in the future. I think it's a give and take you're talking about as well. So yeah, a lot of good points there. I would hope that kind of networking will exist more so than just sending a random message to somebody that you barely know.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Catherine, thank you so much for being with us today. It was such a blast chatting with you, and hope to have you back soon. Good luck with your role. You got a lot going on, so thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, that's going to do it for us today, everybody. Thanks for tuning into the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of HubSpot Media. Our editor is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clark. We've got a ton more tech and business coverage in our newsletter. If you're not subscribed, go sign up at thehustle.co/email and follow us on Instagram at thehustledaily. We'll catch you later.